Yeah, I got so sick of,
That's me.
where are they?
Yeah, yep.
So mine, these are bifocals in contact glass.
Finding the spots or like getting my head right. They get bifocals, you can't look at your head, you have to look at the spots. Stuffing your head down.
But I do have different ones. I really just want to just make it check. I've got something called aggressive.
Yes.
But I don't like them thorough guys and everything's that I want. So I have, like if it's
No sign it? Okay. I did play golf already. Connor took over when I left, and Owen's there, and thank goodness. Yeah, we were supposed to play hundreds, so I didn't make it. I'm supposed to go back. I don't know.
With her.
It was walking. Look at me.
That's crazy. I pay more money. Walk.
You don't want any medical events.
Yeah, exactly.
Like 2 laps. There's only 18
Yeah, you keep going. Keep going. So we played 3 full 18-hole rounds by 18:30, and I got one more hole done. And then I had to leave. It's been a nice week. Connor's still going.
So you think you're gonna have to go back or just give it?
Well, technically we were a team, so the 2 of us played 50 holes.
When
We
you
get
get
ready.
He's
got this idea. He wants to-
Probably see you tomorrow night.
We'll see. And they're golfing. It's kind of-
I mean, but seriously, you get started.
You gotta quit. I know. And it rained. It was raining when we left.
Oh, so you're trying to get it to 40.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How many teams were there?
So you're not competing. You're just trying to get as many points as you can.
No sales tax. Especially if you know.
No fire.
So like,
I got it never hurt. Mine would hurt.
Mine is this weekend, so I'm like, but bring my own and make sure
I
I
said
have
double the power by for 6 seconds. I was really
and I'm like, oh, what's that?
like, nothing else.
The kids just bring us to the office all the time. I'm like,
I did the same thing for mine. I brought it in and they went, "It's good."
We'll call this meeting to order. It is the mission of Montague Area Public Schools to educate and inspire all students to become motivated, articulate, productive, and successful citizens for today, tomorrow, and forever. Let's pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Mr. Rapp.
Here.
Mr. Johnson. Mrs. Francis. Here. Mrs. Dahl. Here. Mr. Weisheisen. Mr. Smith.
Here.
Mrs. Newpower.
Here.
Okay. Fourth item on the agenda is approval of agenda.
Support.
So moved by Scott, support by Amanda. Discussion? All those in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? Motion passed. Number 5 on the agenda is the consent agenda. So,
So,
all right. Moved by Amanda, supported by Scott. Discussion?
I'd just like to pay note, there are a couple resignations / retirements there, obviously with Ms. Jackie Wood of 33 years of service, and always our music teacher. Special thank you to her. Mr. Henderson and Bob Lash as well on their upcoming retirements as well. Please note during June we will do something special for the retirements that we see across, but Jeff Henderson has been with the district for 15 years. 16 years, and then Mr. Lash has been for 25. So, special thank you to them.
All right. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
yes.
Opposed? passed. Number 6 is the public comment portion of the meeting. Public comments will be accepted at this time. Each statement shall be limited to 5 minutes in duration. Participants shall direct all comments to the board and not to staff or other participants. The board welcomes public comment but does not respond to citizens' concerns at its meetings. At the citizens' request and the board's direction, the superintendent designee will respond in a timely manner. This meeting is a meeting of the Board of Education in public for the purpose of conducting school district's business and is not to be considered a public community meeting. There were no sign-ins for public participation. Is there anybody that has anything at this time? All right, we'll move on to number 7, item number 7 on the agenda, which is reports.
All right, we will begin with our favorite time of the day, the Principal Meaningful Minute.
Right, well, I want to share with you that last Friday, our kindergarten building honored our lunch ladies. They snuck down into the cafeteria and lined the outside. They've been practicing a We Love Our Lunch Lady song. And they serenaded our lunch ladies before presenting them with a canvas made of hearts from their thumbprints of everyone in the building. And our lunch ladies were just delighted. On the way out, one of them stopped to say it was the best day they've ever had at the Mac. So they truly, I think I've shared with you, are amazing people. They decorate on the lunchroom like we're having a special celebration for every month, something different. I had 6 advocates from Even Start that came through, and they stopped me in the hallway and wanted to know what was the special occasion happening in our lunchroom that day. And I said, special here every day. So they were really very amazed at how much effort our lunch ladies put forth. So the other things that might be happening at the MAC, if you care to stop by, we have a Mother's Day tea happening on Friday for all the young 5 parents. A VIP day that the kindergarten will host for any special person in their life. We'll be doing all kinds of literacy and math stations and some take-home things that parents can take and do at home with their kids as well. Our field day is coming up, and our staff or our students will also be walking to the high school to see Animal Day. They're excited to see the tractors and the animals and hear all about them. And then finally, for graduation this year from kindergarten, we're going to do a special glow day. So our PTO is purchasing t-shirts, and our students are going to do neon tie-dyes. And then we have stations set up around the building that they're going to do related to math and literacy. And they will end in the cafeteria for a glow day dance party. So they're really, they don't know, but our parents are very excited about that. Should be lots of fun.
A lot of similarities between the MAC and RO. We had a special Person's Day concert to honor moms or grandmas or someone special in our first graders' lives. On Friday, our M-STEP is wrapping up. I think 5th grade has one more test this week, and then we'll be doing some makeup, so that'll be good to have that done. We've had some field trips where 1st grade is going to Country Dairy, 2nd grade went to Blandford Nature Center. It's just a busy time of year. We'll also be going to FFA Animal Day on the 23rd. Our 5th graders will be going to the middle school for Transition Day to meet Mr. Crow and some staff and just familiarize themselves with the building again. And then finally, our spring concert, Mrs. Wood's last concert, will be on next week, next Tuesday, so you're all invited to come and see that. 4th grade will be putting that on, of course, all of us will be walking over Tuesday morning for a dress rehearsal.
All right, for NBC, couple of kind of upcoming dates. Our last band concert for the year is May 23rd. We have Whiz Kids on May 24th, so if anybody wants to come support our Whiz Kids on May 24th, that'd be great. That's going to be 6:30 here in the auditorium. The choir had their last concert yesterday at 7 o'clock. That was a 6th through 12th grade concert. All of the concerts performed. Did a lot of combined concerts together. It was a wonderful performance. Lots of upbeat songs. Everyone had a great time. We just have a lot of talented kids here at Montague, which is awesome. So let's keep supporting the arts. Our track team is busy, 2 to 3 meets per week, unless the weather gets in the way like tonight. We've got about 90 kids on our track team, so that keeps them busy with practice and meets. Our state testing is done at NBC. All our makeups are done. We're kind of all wrapped up. So excited to get back to a normal schedule. We have a number of fun events coming up over the next few weeks before I will be back to see you in June. So we have one of them being our community lunch on June 2nd. Would like to invite any of you who would like to come to our community lunch to come by on June 2nd. We have 2 seatings, one at 11:05 and one at 12:05. You're welcome to come to either one. We sit down family style and do lunch on that day, and that will also be, we call it our celebration, because Mr. Long's hoop house classes have been growing, all kinds of things in the hoop house, which will turn into salads that we get to eat and share on that last community lunch on June 2nd as well. So great day. Come on by and hang out with us. We have great lunch ladies at NBC as well, so we did some special things for them last week as it was Appreciation Week. Our kids love breakfast at NBC. Well, they like all, but they do especially breakfast. The ladies have been doing all kinds. We had Belgian waffles with toppings last week. We've had oatmeal with all sorts of different toppings, and they do oatmeal bars. We've got all kinds of crazy stuff going on over there, and they have a great time. They want to always do something new and put always new things in front of the kids, so really appreciate it. I know every kid says that school lunch isn't that great. I've been to other schools. They don't know how good they have it. And then this week is Teacher Appreciation Week. So if you have a minute and you feel so inclined to drop them a line and let them know how much you appreciate them, they would really look forward to that. Oh, and I have the high school as well. It's about to take off. So Mrs. Stolman's out at a community event. Mr. Mulder's at a wet track meet, so hopefully he's staying dry. But the last few weeks have been very busy at the high school. AP testing kicked off on the 28th with breakfast and some motivational messages for former students. And the AP students will be wrapping up these 3-hour test sessions this week, and the results will be posted this summer. The band and choir both had their final concerts on Sunday, and the students represented MHS well with their musical accomplishments. 18 senior band members also led the high school band to a state band festival last week where they received a Division I rating. The track teams also placed well at the GMAA tournament last week, and all the spring sports are just going like crazy, keeping kids really busy as playoff season is going to start in just a couple of short weeks. As crazy as that sounds, it feels like it just started. Prom was held this past weekend, and over 200 students and guests attended, and the students had a great time and represented MHS well. May events coming up, Ride with Pride Assembly, a number of various field trips, senior awards, and graduation, May 19th. Let's cross our fingers for nice weather.
All right, next on our reports is our budget update by Finance Director Stacy Brown. She did meet with the Finance Committee prior to today's meeting, so she will give an update and we'll give the Finance Committee members a chance to add into it there.
Okay, this is the final budget amendment for this year. And just want to give us a little refresher from where we started. Last June, when we thought about this year's budget, we had a lot of unknowns at that time. And we had thought that we might end this year with about a 5.7% fund balance, a little bit over $1 million in the fund balance. And we are anticipated to end up much better than that. In December, we did our revised budget. Once more information was known, we thought we might end with about 8.5% in the fund balance, 1.58 million. And here we are at the end of the year, now that more of our revenues and expenditures are known. We are anticipating to end with 1.56 million, so very close to that revised budget, which is a 7.9% fund balance. Revenues this year, we had 1,350 students, $9,150 per student. And you're going to see here in this final budget that we've got an increase in expenditures. We have almost $1 million increase in expenditures. Likewise, we have almost $1 million increase in and revenues and expenditures. You got $1 million in revenues, you got $1 million in expenditures, and there's a good explanation for that. In the state's budget, they decided to contribute $1 billion to the retirement system. They were going to pay down the retirement system. However, apparently it's too easy for the state to pay the ORS directly, so they're going to flow that money through the schools. So our piece of that pie is $877,000. So we're going to receive a revenue of $877,000. Then we're going to have an expense of $877,000 that I have to spread through all the categories. So we've got all that money flowing through our budget that is literally just flowing through. We're not purchasing anything with that. If we dig into our revenues a little bit closer, you can see local sources are up about $15,000. A lot of things at play there. We have our local electric forest that's coming back, so that is a net revenue for the district. And we do have some things that were taken out as well. We had a Lakeshore Learning grant that we were going to upgrade the playground at the MAC, and we decided to push that off to next year. So how that all works out would be an increase of $15,000 from local. State sources, right there is your large increase. There's your $1 million. $877,000 of that is that one-time payment. We also had some additional grants. We had benchmark assessment. We had 31N for mental health. We had risk assessment. So all of those extra grants are located there. Federal sources are up by about $48,000, and that's due to additional grants as well. We got a homeless grant through the ISD, and then we had a change in our Title I and Title II allocations as well. Then you look at expenditures. We've got $1 million in revenues. We have $1 million in expenditures, and also we have the electric forest expenditures. While it is a net revenue, we do have to account for the expenditures for paying our drivers along with the fuel for that. If we dig into it by category, we've got instruction, and instruction is up about, about $640,000. Now, $535,000 of that is that one-time payment. So the other things include some Schedule Bs for missed planning periods. They include an increased CTC, which is Career Tech allocation. So when it comes to Career Tech, which is our FFA and our marketing, there's a certain amount of money you have to spend based on your enrollment. And if you don't spend that money, you send it back to the state. So you might as well get the supplies, the materials, the experiences for our kids by spending that money versus just giving it back to the state. Pupil support was up by about $22,000. $9,000 of that is the one-time payment. We did have a contracted speech therapist that we had to bring on for a couple months due to some caseload management there. Instructional staff support is up by about $40,000. $12,000 of that is the one-time payment. And we do have an adjustment in our Title II expenses there for this year's allocation. And also, we received an additional support from our North Service Unit, which is our special ed consortium. We have a new supervisor that we share with North Muskegon, but that did increase the expenditure slightly. Well worth it. She's great for the district. General administration increased by about $20,000. All of that is that one-time payment. School administration increased by about $117,000. $87,000 of that is the one-time payment. And then we have some retirement payouts for administrators due to the sick time that will be paid out for administrators who have been with the district for a very long time. Business services increased by about $10,000. All of that is the one-time payment. Operations and maintenance stayed steady, which is a feat in itself. Even with the $88,000 one-time payment there. We did remove that Lighthouse Learning Grant. We're pushing that off to next year. And we did have a savings in some of the electricity and water utilities as well. Transportation increased by about $200,000. $67,000 of that is your one-time payment there. Then we have our electric forest expenditures for our drivers and our fuel. Overall, this year, fuel was up higher than we had predicted. And we had more wages for drivers. I think we're just doing more. We're going on more athletic events, more field trips, whereas things have been really scaled back these last few years. We're going kind of full force now with pre-COVID level experiences for our kids. Other central service increased by about $11,000. All of that was the one-time payment. Athletics increased by about $40,000. $23,000 of that was the one-time payment. And then we had increased costs for coaching, athletic trainer, and officials. Other support services stayed steady in that category. Usually we have some FFA workers that do some work over the summer. They receive small stipends. We did not have that program this year, and we won't have it in the next year either. Let's See, community service increased due to our Title I allocation. Other financing stayed steady, and the construction increased there by $17,400, and that's just a reallocation. That is the furnace that was put in out at the football field, and originally in December's budget we had an operations and maintenance, but since it's a capital expenditure, I had to move it to this category. So overall, we've got our revenues, we've got our expenditures. We're going to take about $760,000 out of the fund balance. Now, this is a conservative estimate. We have 6 more weeks left. We've got money in the budget should we have emergency expenditures, emergency repairs. We are hopeful that not all those expenditures will take place, and this will finish better than anticipated, as it has historically. And everybody gets caught on that percentage. We got 7.9%. I know we really want the 10%, but focus on the amount in the fund balance, which is the 1.56, which is a comfortable fund balance for us moving forward. Because our fund balance percentage is actually skewed this year because we're inflated with that $877,000 of expenditures that flowed through our district that we're getting nothing for. And if you would have taken that out of the equation, we're actually closer to 8.2% on the fund balance. That was the general fund. We move on to food service. Food service is revenue in and revenue out. And we're hoping to end with a fund balance of $427,000, which should be within the allowable threshold if the planets align and all the expenditures and revenues fall into place. You may remember we've had findings for the last few years that too much money in food service, and we've been diligently trying to spend that down. We have purchased vehicles, we've remodeled cafeterias and kitchens, and this year we have the community eligibility program where all kids are getting free breakfast and free lunch, but the state doesn't fund that at 100%. So that's helping to spend down our fund balance, and that benefits all families in the district. The state auditor realized a lot of districts are having this problem with too much money, so they have requested that our local auditors no longer put that as a finding on the audit unless it's due to gross oversight or negligence at the district's level. So I'm hopeful that we'll be able to remove that from our audit this year. Safety and Tech Fund, that is the fund, that is the millage that's approved by voters. We're in year 9 of this, and we're very excited. That was renewed last week, and it should continue for an additional 10 years. We're very thankful for that. We take our revenues and our expenditures into account. We're going to end with a small fund balance, about $400. This year, we pay our tech assistants out of that fund. We have document cameras and audio systems in the classrooms. We bought new desktop computers throughout the district, whereas the students use Chromebooks. The teachers and the office staff do have desktops. And we completed an upgrade to our video camera system. The Scholarship Trust Fund, we do have 4 scholarships at the district overseas. We've got Griffin, Flynn, Trevino, and O'Connell. Each year we have one donor who donates a small amount, and then we anticipate paying out amounts to the students who qualify. And we do anticipate a fund balance of about $30,000. Student activity funds, those are the funds housed within the schools themselves for student fundraising, for fun events for the kids. We do anticipate that money in equals money out, and they will end with a fund balance of about $100,000. And while we don't have to make a budget for the sinking fund, I'd like to keep you updated. As of April 30th, we have $482,000 in the sinking fund. That is earmarked towards some large projects at RRO. The window replacement is going to begin here once school lets out June 9th, and they are anticipating having that done before school begins in August. Once that project's done, then we're going to go out for bid and hopefully be able to have an HVAC upgrade to RRO next summer. So looking forward, as I talk about this budget here, we're already looking forward to next year, and things that we have to keep in mind are per pupil allocation. A lot of rumblings at the state level. We're not quite sure what they're going to give us. It all sounds very favorable. But then on the flip side of that, we need to consider that our student enrollment. We are graduating a larger class than the kindergarten students that we're bringing in, and that's something to keep in mind. We have a reduction of federal funds. We received $700,000 less this year. We'll receive another $700,000 less next year. So you take the per pupil allocation, the loss of kids, and those federal funds, and we need to make sure that our staffing is sustainable to carry the district forward. So staffing will need to be looked at. Transportation, we did not purchase a bus this year, and you don't want to get too behind on that because then suddenly you need buses all at the same time. So buses will be needed in the future. Will one be in next year's budget? We're not sure. Will we finance? Will we purchase it? Those are all things to consider. And then we have to consider the building repair and maintenance needs. So we have the sinking fund, which we're so appreciative of, but right now we've earmarked all of that money for large projects. So when we do have needs within the district, that's coming from the general fund. You know, we had emergency roof repairs this winter. That was $70,000 that had to come out of the general fund. So that's something to keep in mind as well as we move forward. And that is the budget amendment that we're asking you to approve tonight. Any questions or comments? All
Great
right.
job as usual, Stacy. Thank you for all your work. Obviously, the Finance Committee met prior, went into a little more depth than that. And obviously provided the same overall information. Anything that you feel might have been missed or would like to add?
One thing I was thinking about is there a way to get a budget even to, without that ORS, that $800,000
Yep.
cost year might be good for us to have as a year-over-year
Yep,
comparison.
I can do that.
All right, we will move on to superintendent comments under MASD election special board meeting. That has been added to the agenda, item E, so I will not get into that, but then we will be looking at a special board meeting on May 22nd. Moving on to double I. 2022 bond update. So as we're moving forward, and I'll get on the screen here in a little bit, but we are moving forward. Getting closer, we're looking to wrap some of our decisions and looking at things hopefully by the end of the month. So that at the June, probably after the June meeting, we might actually need another special board meeting to start looking at bids and those processes. But hopefully by the end of the month, we'll be finalizing some of the choices that will be made. So I will be asking for another facilities committee meeting as well, just to kind of update where we're at on that. I am going to go up here on the screen just to show a couple renderings. They do have a sheet there. If you want, you got one down there. Maybe Scott, move that one down there and take that. Put that down here. Here's a little code that you can see. We'll put those on our website as well. But just at the current point in time, that is not how it will end, but it is currently some of the renderings on what that new gymnasium could possibly look like as how we're moving forward. So let me go to archive. Oh, they have pictures now, so now it looks different, huh? So I'm looking to 426. This might be the one. All right, so this would be the entrance area as you come from. We're looking at where you would come in to the gymnasium. Now, colors are not exact. Sometimes in the renderings it creates to be. This is a bluer color. It is a darker blue than the track blue necessarily, but it would be the baffling that takes away from sound. You can see there'd be bathrooms on either side, concession stand area. This would be a polished concrete. You have some drinking fountains there within that area. As you move forward, once again, there's the lobby area. You can see what an overall idea of what the bathrooms would look like. There will be some natural light that would be coming in there, but high enough where it would not be anything that people could look into. Plus, it would be somewhat of a film over that. This would be, now we have it as option 1, option 2. We are currently moving forward, but as you can see, option 1 with the darker bleachers, as you can see within there with the blue track, which is the direction that we have continued to move forward with. The idea around some gray bleachers looks sharp in some areas, but then with it out, it creates it to be a little bit too bland. So we are leaning towards option 1 in that work, but you can see the gymnasium as a whole. Over here where my cursor would be that area that I had showed previously as far as the entryway. Fitness room area, you can see that there will be some windows. This has since changed as well on the overall look of this, where the windows will be around door height moving through, but it'll be a large fitness area that you can see out into the gymnasium. There will be some discoloration, so it's not so distracting for individuals in the court where they will be able to see in, but you have to get kind of close to be able to see into that area. You can see bodies, movement, but it shouldn't be distracting by any means. And then those individuals can see out for sure. Running through, and once again, these are all just renderings on possible ideas. There's even been changes for some of these. If you look on the QR codes, you'll get that those are some of the most up-to-date drawings. But this would be your entry area that you would come in. It won't say gymnasium. It might not. It might say Montague High School, but it wouldn't quite look like that. So some of those things are changed, but it's the idea as far as branding would be there. Branding would be here. Or not, depending on cost as to how things come in. But you can see this would be off to my right where I am circling the mouse right now. That is kind of where the current high school office is. So the area off those steps would be a ramp that would come right in to the area. I'm trying to get back to another rendering here. This would be a look from the lobby entrance area out, if you will. And actually kick us through. Those were, like I said previously, in the QR code, when you look at it, if you pull it up on your phone, you can actually move all the way around the gymnasium area. They've put in some scoreboards now into that area as well. Once again, that's the, try to go through all of these, make sure I'm not missing anything that as far as the rendering. So there is a lot more work to do, but we are working frivolously within that, and hopefully we'll have more information to you definitely by the end of the month. Look in the Friday updates for that, definitely for the June board meeting, and most likely we'll have to have another board meeting, and I apologize for all the meetings, but approximately I believe the date will be June 20th to accept, to work through the bid process to make sure that we can get done and ready by the end of June. I feel like there's one other thing here that I needed to do. Back, high school, schematic design. Well, we won't get into all of those, but just some of the renderings. The QR codes that you'll see, those we will put those on the website as well. Is it best if I just turn these on?
Yeah, I'll take
Any questions on the bond project at this point in time? Okay, on to the others. As you heard, graduation May 19th, 7 p.m. I am planning on everyone being there in attendance. This will be outside of the football field, pending weather, which then we would automatically move it into the gymnasium at that point in time. Teacher, math teacher at the high school, Mr. Trevor, is the keynote speaker for that. Moving on to senior awards, also take place the night before, 6:30 p.m. at the high school auditorium. That is not necessarily a mandatory by any stretch of the means, but if you are interested to see the seniors and other awards that are taking place, I want to please pay note. It is Teacher Appreciation Week, and thank you to all our teachers and educators here and staff as a whole for all the work that they do. As you heard previously, this is one small week of all the hard work that they do. You saw in the email that I sent out, the Technology and Security Millage did pass for all the districts of Muskegon County. As a whole, 58% or 12,720 total yes votes, 41.99 or 9,206 votes. That was countywide. Once again, those are still unofficial at this point in time, but it did pass around that 60 to 40 percentage. We here in the district mimic that, around a 60 to 40 percentage as well, and that is the combination of both our Muskegon County and Oceana votes, where we had a total of 687 yes votes and 453 no votes. We will be meeting next board meeting, June 12th, will be at NBC, at the NBC cafeteria. We do have some students that are looking to do a special presentation on Emily Chisholm and some of the work that they did there, so it will be June 12th, still at that 6 p.m. time slot. I will also, at that June meeting, as not been quite the quick process I would have hoped around the facility use rates, but I will have samples of facility use rate charts hopefully at that June meeting. I was hoping to have them for us, but there's still some uncertainties and questions that we have around this. So just remember, there are a lot of events that are taking place here in the spring season. So take note of the Friday updates or on our website. As a district, we are still continuing to plan for next year. We will have tentative assignments out to be very generalized by May 15th for all staff. We are looking to be fiscally responsible, but still do what's best for kids as we move forward in that process. If you have any other questions, please let me know. And that, let me just double check on the stars, is it for superintendent comments.
Thank you, Jeff. Moving on to item 8 on the agenda, new business. 8A is consideration of approving a budget amendment 2 as presented by Stacy. The suggested motion is to approve budget amendment 2 for the 2022-23 budget as presented.
Support.
Moved by Scott, support by Amanda. Any discussion?
So, Finance Committee heard it in detail, we got a brief snippet. Obviously, we did come to the board in June with a large deficit budget. We did have a deficit, but we improved upon that, and we anticipate that even in these last couple of months, we will build upon that as well. As we move to next board meeting and another Finance Committee meeting and proposed budget for next year, there is some concerns when we lose another $700,000 of those federal dollars in the staffing that we have, so we'll be changing some things, and it will be most likely a proposed deficit. It will be a proposed deficit budget as well, but we will look to improve upon that as well throughout the year, as well as we'd like to create those conservative budgets.
All those in favor? Yes. Opposed? Motion passed. Item B, consideration to approve or disapprove the MAISD 2023-24 general fund budget. The suggested motion is to approve, disapprove the MAISD 2023-2024 general fund budget as presented per the resolution.
I make a motion to approve the MAISD 2023-2024 general fund budget as presented per the resolution.
Okay. So, motion by Amanda, support by Scott. Discussion.
So Amanda was our representative for the MASD meeting, correct? And anything you'd like to add based?
So that was my first time attending that event, and the feedback from the other district schools was that the presentation was the best that they've seen as far as explanation to where the funds are coming from, where they're going. So I took that as a positive, not being familiar with what they were going to be presenting. Nothing seemed questionable or unreasonable. I thought it looked good.
I will say there has been a large push for the school districts to get some more of that detail around the MASD budgets. With Randy Lindquist being the new MASD superintendent, I think he has heard that, and I have heard the same as well around the budgeting process or the meeting, that there was some great explanations. They do have a proposed budget for a fund balance of $6,585,000 or a 7.77% fund balance for the proposed next year. They will add to this year around 8.4%.
Additional discussion? All right, all those in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? Motion approved. Item C, consideration of approving 2023 School Resource Officer Memorandum of Agreement. The suggested motion to approve the 2023 School Resource Officer Memorandum of Agreement as presented. So we need a motion to move forward. So, okay, support?
Support.
Okay. Discussion.
So, this is a template that we have taken from Michigan State Police for the SRO position. It's a template where we then put in the work between the city and us as a school district. This is from our Michigan State grant, police grant that we received. These are not the general fund dollars that are utilized within this, but this is our Michigan State Police grant. We've worked with the city on a number of different things around this, both Stacy, myself. I know the city as well with Chief Rick Johnson, Jeff Auk, and then the city council as a whole. And they have approved this memorandum or letter or this agreement as well. We have begun the process looking at interviews on Friday. We interviewed 6 different individuals and for those positions. This week we will be taking some of those and bringing them, some actually happened today, but bringing some of those individuals in just to hang out around the lunchtime period, looking for student interactions with students, and we're looking at those and what that might be. Possible third round will be some additional questions based upon maybe some of the things that we saw, or maybe have additional questions for the group as well. It will be not a super quick process, but we don't want it to linger out there as there are trainings that will need to take place prior as well. That will be it. I have any other questions or discussion on the agreement?
When would they actually start?
Next August. Well, start for the district. Yes, I would say there'll be some work maybe that takes place. So they are city officers, so basically they will start and be on patrol for the city. There will be some things that we do with this officer in June as far as preparation is concerned. August, I would say probably the second week or so, there'll be more work with the administrative team as we can see that there will be some professional development for staff as they move forward. But it would be basically the school year minus some days in June and some days in August, just as far as preparation of the administrators to have a better idea of what is really being looked at for next year.
Okay.
Was it basically during the school day, not extracurricular, or would that be like, sometimes we need an extra officer for maybe football games or?
So it will be a flexible schedule for them. The idea would be most of the time it would be at school during the school day. If we really feel like there's some things, and once again, this is above and beyond the services that we receive from the police department as a whole, and we've been we've been assured that that will be the case in scenarios. So on certain events, we have had a police officer there, very few, but a lot of times there's just officers that are there. So there are only a couple of those events that we do ask for that. This would probably take place, that might flex their schedule a little bit within that day. Or there are extra hours based upon that 40-hour week that would be outside of that school day as well. This is district-wide. We will have the individual housed here at the high school area, just as we see that that is an area for to see the most action, I guess, if you will. And I do anticipate, if we're hopefully hiring the right individual, that somebody that's all in and passionate about the district, and the idea or question mark around hours will never be put in place. It will be at most every night.
Additional discussion? All right, all those in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? All right, motion passed. Item D, I'm going to abstain from any vote with item D because this is my company, but I do want to get this started. Item D is consideration to approve streaming of MHS graduation ceremony by Catchmark Technologies. The suggested motion is to approve payment of $1,500 to Catchmark Technologies for streaming the 2023 MHS graduation ceremony. Motion by Amanda, support by Joel. Discussion?
Obviously, this is not something that would normally be brought to the board as approval, but obviously with full transparency, with Brent being an owner of Catchmark Technologies, we want to make sure that we're being fully transparent in the costs that are taking place, so anything above and beyond the agreed amount. Previously, this is the high school graduation. They do graduations. They have done Whitehall, working with Shelby, currently as well as far as their graduation ceremony. This is the same cost that we have had in previous years as well. In the past, it probably didn't reach all the costs that they had involved. I think that more efficiently, this will be hopefully covering their costs in that work now, but this is the same dollar amount that we've done in the past. We feel like we've had a great product. In talking with Mr. Hanson previously around this work as to what other companies are out there. There's really not companies that necessarily do this around the technology side of things. There could be individuals that would video or do things like this and then put it, but to have live streaming videos and all the technology components as a whole. I'm sure there are companies, we just don't know where they're at, and at this dollar amount, I feel that this is a great product to put forward to our community, not only our community, but our parents, so they can then have some safer later as well. And once again, I do want to pay note, Brett did say it at the beginning, but Brett will abstain from this vote as being part of that. Are there other questions that you might have?
So is there context on what the cost would be from what if we haven't sought out other bids? What's that reasonable competitive bid would be?
We do not. We do not have what that would be. We do feel in our conversations when we were looking at this previously, a dollar amount for an individual to do might be less dollars, but not near the quality near the product. Those that would have the quality or product, you are now looking to somebody most likely out of Grand Rapids or even Detroit or Chicago to do the work, which then would get significantly more expensive. But that's more generalization than an actual quote.
Do you think it'd be multiples of this cost? That's gonna be
I would, yes.
based on what you said.
I would say at least double.
I would think that based on location too, I mean, anyone that's traveling is gonna add a price tag for that as well.
Just the same price for what?
Yeah, it's the same price for all. You know, it is all, that is cost. That is not, we don't add markup, we don't make money on this, it's really all cost, so.
Nice try, Scott.
Yeah, to kind of, yeah, good try, Scott. To kind of answer your question, if you went, even if another company came in at the same amount of hours, they're gonna add a 10 to 20% profit right off the bat, so. All right, any additional discussion or questions? As noted, I'll be abstaining, so all those in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? Motion passed. Item E is a consideration to approve holding a special board meeting on May 22nd, 2023. The suggested motion is to approve a special board meeting on May 22nd, 2023 in the MHS Cap.
So moved.
Okay.
I support. But I just, were we gonna, because there isn't a time, can we do it at 5:30 instead of 6 o'clock? Anybody?
What day of the week is it? I'm still
Someone say Monday.
Monday. I won't be here.
I
I'll be in
can't.
the country.
Okay. I can't, it's just, I had something else to go to, so, because this is just gonna come in, vote.
This will be
Right?
10 minutes, 5 minutes.
Okay. I have no problem with 5:30.
I can do 5:30.
The time doesn't really matter to Joel, because he's not gonna be here either way.
Scott?
Scott?
Whatever city you want.
It's 5:30.
Yeah, I'll make it work. I'll
Or
get someone to
5:45,
help me.
you know, even.
That'd be a little bit better.
5:45.
Yeah,
Let's
that
say
would
5:45, do we
that
wanna
would be
amend
better.
the motion?
There's no time on
There is no time.
Okay, so we'll just leave it.
So 5:45.
5:45?
And
That's better.
Right, and if it's a real issue, we said 1, 2, 3, 4 already. We'll make Tom come because he's not here, so 5. If it is an issue.
Okay, it shouldn't be. Hold on.
And this is for the annual election. I'd like to put in the notes, please pay note for next year. This May meeting is, as much as I do like the first full month, or the second full Monday of the month, this does seem to be a problem for us as it's due to the ISD board meetings and when they get their election individuals. So we should have got the names today. We did not have the names, but they wouldn't even let us. If it was one day later, we actually, 24-hour period, we could have done it, but it's always that Monday. So maybe we looked at that May instead of the second one being the third Monday for next January. So I'm gonna pay note because I will not remember that by January. But we're gonna put in the notes to write down that during our organizational meeting, we should look at the third Monday.
Okay.
Good.
Any additional discussion? All right, so 5:45 on May 22nd. All those in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? Motion passed. The last item on the agenda, number 9, is adjournment.
Motion to adjourn?
Moves by support by Scott. All those in favor, discussion? All those in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? Meeting adjourned.
So you'll get the info to us about?
Yes, I will send it out on Friday.